Men are expected to use their hard-earned money to pay for the first date and provide entertainment for an unrelated stranger. And at the end, the woman is under no need to give the male anything in exchange. In fact, she need not even express gratitude. But she has no intention of sleeping with him. Let the male tell her that they're sharing the bill. Additionally, you can relax while watching World War III. You see, women always seek out opportunities that will benefit them. They'd also never pause to consider what guys desire. However, they anticipate that we will only comply with their demands. We have to wonder, what is in it for men dating these modern women? Because most typical men deal with the double standards of dating and relationships on a daily basis. We all know that women want men to protect and provide for them without engaging in extramarital activity. So, why is it a problem if a man opens his wallet expecting to have her legs on his shoulders or puts his life in jeopardy to save her? These are the hypocrisies that males in the dating industry must deal with. And in their current partnerships where, very honestly, contemporary women no longer care or want to do anything for males. However, males must nonetheless carry out their duties, keep their mouths shut, and support and safeguard women. Can you really blame guys for leaving their relationships and moving abroad when they have to deal with this level of entitlement in America? Just pause and consider it from the man's viewpoint. He briefly considered quitting his soul-sucking plantation job and working long hours to make ends meet before switching to a dating app and trying to convince one more thought to go on a date with him. However, because she anticipates being spoiled. Now he needs to spend a lot of money to attempt to win her over for a formal dinner date. Not only that, but the woman will evaluate him if he simply turns up to the date looking unkempt or lame. He must therefore exert effort and spend additional funds in order to smell and look great. In addition, he is required to pay for the entire evening, which might go into the hundreds of dollars depending on the upscale restaurant he chooses. But in the end, all he receives is a thank you or a pat on the head, while she lugs the leftovers to the table to share and risk having her internal organs decimated. Men who must endure this for 90 days before they have any hope of going between a woman's legs are much worse than that. In that period, while he receives no benefit from doing so, he must support and provide for her. Men do sign up for this, though, so if you believe that the 90-day rule is no longer applicable to some guys, you are correct. Imagine how much cash she had to lose before she decided whether or not to give him any stench. Despite the fact that she might have had an ex-boyfriend at that time, rush in the streets were icy. Therefore, constantly keep in mind that not all guys who prefer to date contemporary women have it simple. The same thing occurs to guys, and no one is interested in what he hopes to gain from the deal. However, if a man decides to stop dating or travel abroad, the ladies will at least treat him better and expose him at the end of the date, rather than shaming him for being a con artist. Let's return to the earlier illustration of the man who demanded payment for the date. It's when I mentioned that when guys pay for a date but receive no sags, the lady goes and hooks up with another man to get beat up. He therefore meets a Mormon for a date. She then informs him that she will be going camping with some pals after the conclusion of their conversation. Regardless, it is nighttime now. As a result, he begins to worry that something is wrong. When something doesn't seem right and you have a bad feeling about the future, you know with your gut. When something didn't make sense, Skippy got that feeling that something was off. In order to get all the information, he started by asking her some questions about the camping trip and the others she was traveling with. And all of this came after he had fed and amused her, so remember that. She then begins to argue, saying it's none of his business. And that should be enough to indicate to you that he is soon to be fined. So Skippy leads her to her apartment, where they say goodbye with hugs before she departs on her alleged camping trip. The same girl he was on a date with is now in a car with another man as he circles the flat. Guys, I'll never forget the defeated expression in his eyes. And believe me when I say that this occurs frequently. He was merely fortunate to have photographed it. We all know that after Skippy spent all that money on just a hug, she was going to be thoroughly exhausted by the conversation. Again, we are supposed to pay fairly even though they are under no obligation to reciprocate. To me, that represents a double standard, because most women wouldn't consent to it. If a man tells a woman that they are dating and that he wants them to have sexual fun in bed after the date. However, they don't mind going on a date with a man while offering him nothing and calling it a discussion when what they really want is a dating stick. If that isn't using a double standard, what it is? So once more, can you blame men who see the game is fixed and the cards are stacked against them and decide to just go their own way, go into monk mode, or adopt a free agent lifestyle? After spending his money, what happens if a man decides to travel to Thailand and strikes a woman who was glad to go on a date with him and was prepared to grant him access to her body? Do you then hold him accountable for going where he was desired rather than where he was tolerated? The truth is that modern women don't care about you and take men's needs and wants for granted. They won't care if you meet the expectations of an adult if you're not Chad Tyrone or the man they really get wet for. Instead, they'll utilize you for what you have to offer for as long as they can without giving you what you want. Because they don't care about what you want, you'll hear about gourmet calls and ghosting after 3 dates. Keep in mind that they are self-centered and only care about themselves. However, the blue pill programming is frequently overbearing. Men will therefore make sacrifices in order to have their own personal woman in their own home, giving them a wet vice grasp. The terrible aspect is that they could have paid for a female to send them off and leave them alone, but all they wanted to do was risk their future for that one. Men, however, do not favor upfront payment. They choose to pay in the form of alimony, child support, and divorce. And so, it is what it is. Men sometimes need to be taught a lesson the hard way in order for them to wake up and realize their mistakes. Even I had to experience this a few times. So be aware of the reasons why telling most guys the truth won't cause them to start changing their lives. No, they must suffer harm. Some men won't give up hope even then though. What I find outrageous is that after a guy marries and provides for a woman, she will not see it as her obligation as the man's sole provider to let him some time off whenever he desires. This reminds me of a man going to work every day, and a month at the conclusion of the 2 weeks, he has no right to receive payment. And this is what the majority of married guys go through with the lady they are providing for and taking care of. It's not that a small minority of guys experience this. Since it's generally not expected for married men to have regular sex with their wives, many nations would consider it great if he did and would toss him in the gulag for abusing his wife's peace leave. The purpose of getting married in the first place, after all, isn't that? Don't you have the right to enjoy your bedroom whenever and whenever you please? Mostly because you're keeping your end of the bargain. She's not required to give you a damn thing. Therefore, you still need to provide for and protect them. The thing is, though, that woman had no trouble giving other men her moist vice grip for nothing while she was single and on the rooster rotation. You're not allowed to get whoever you want, even though you paid top price for it. That seems like a double standard. Jet got to spread it out and didn't have to pay. So, why should the husband pay to avoid getting any? For you folks to understand what I mean, why can't the wife make it an obligation to offer the man when he married her? You are not important to women. That is pretty clear. Why then would you satisfy their desires? If they won't do the same then, men, you best consider your options carefully when dealing with modern women since they don't care now and they never will. The worst part is that if you choose not to act in an effort to reprimand her, she only needs to divorce tremendous beauty kingdom calm and she still obtains what she wants. You have to play your part to keep her. So even though you guys realize it's a lose-lose situation, you still play the dice. Your decision is yours. Women don't give a damn about you or whether or not they get what they want. To help us, please watch this video. Please subscribe and send this video to anybody you think will benefit from it the most.